entrepreneurs and business owners, they're really creative, they're problem solvers, they do great work, but they get buried under so much responsibility and so many tasks. Their ability to do all that really quality work is just completely diminished. I mean, it's almost gone. It's hard because the first thing you have to do is sit down and write down, what are all the things that I'm doing and where do I delegate those things out? If you remove yourself and it goes to zero or close to zero, then you still need to build systems and processes and everything. And from that day on, we really became a real business in terms of structure and strategy and thinking things through instead of just reacting to being too busy.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Built to Exit with me, your humble host, Jason Sisneros. And as you've seen in the last few episodes, I've got different backgrounds behind me. This particular background happens to be we're at the Ritz in New Orleans. As my wife and I are traversing this beautiful country of ours, we went to, from Charleston to Chicago, Chicago to Phoenix, Phoenix to Tucson, Arizona, Tucson to El Paso to Dallas. Now we're in kind of the last two legs. We're in New Orleans today, and then hitting Biloxi, Mississippi, and then we'll be home in our beloved Charleston, South Carolina. But that doesn't mean that the show does not go on. And we've just been doing this from some really cool hotels, historic buildings, et cetera, et cetera. So glad to have you with us, especially new viewers. Welcome to the show. As you know, if you've been watching the show for a while, we have really interesting conversations that directly impact you. The viewer of this, you own a business, you're thinking about starting a business, you've had a business for quite a few years, and you're wanting to get information from real world application. And that's all we do here. We have conversations with friends, with people that are crushing it, people that have had struggles. And most of them are my personal relationships. Today's show is no different than that. I've known this gentleman for quite a few years. He said 10 years earlier when we were doing the pre-show conversation, and I was like, sheesh, oh, Pete, we've known each other for a long time. But I want to bring to the stage good friend of mine and business owner, Stuart Burgess. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Jason, good to see you.
Good to see you too. So why don't you introduce yourself and give the people a little bit of history?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, it sounds like you're going on a tour of all the hot places right now. Phoenix,
Bro, it was
um,
the stretch when we left San Diego was all brown. And Emily and I were talking when we got to New Orleans. We're like, oh my God, it's green again, and we can feel
yeah,
humidity again. Our skin is not sucking into dry skin.
yeah. Most people don't choose Phoenix for a trip in July, so
No,
that's
they
pretty.
don't.
Anyway, yeah, about myself. So I think we met, I want to say in like 2016, 2017.
Crazy.
Been
That's
about
great.
10 years.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started Burgex Mining Consultants in 2010, not too long before that. And mining consulting firm based in the United States, primarily work in the Western United States for metals, non-metals, industrial minerals, and then we do construction aggregates throughout the country. Everything from claim staking and early stage geological services to drill program management. And then we have a big kind of consulting group that does valuations, market analysis, things like that. And yeah, it's been a real adventure. I mean, my background, I was a butcher, meat cutter at a grocery store before all this started, and had a hobby exploring abandoned mines. And it just kind of got out of hand. I was taking too much time off work and eventually had to quit and said, you know what, I'm figuring out how to make this work and get people to pay me to do it. And here I am today.
Here you are today. You have an interesting, partner in your business. Tell us
I
about
do.
her.
Yeah. Yes, my ex-wife, Crystal Burgess, and she's currently the CEO and crushing it, doing a really good job. Um, yeah, ex-wife, we've always just got along really well. We originally were friends, got married, started the business together, continue to run the business, and we're still great friends. And actually, my current wife, Amanda, works for the company as well. So it's a real family business. Not every
Yeah,
business, your wife reports to your ex-wife, but we
right.
make it.
I don't know of any, by the way,
Yeah.
but it
Well,
was
you know
always
one at least.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I really admire your team, like top to bottom. You have such a great team, and as we were kind of talking before the show, there's two industries that really don't change very much, right? And I want you to tell that story about the guy that you were working with, but about how many innovations. But two of them, one of them is agriculture, and the other one is mining. Things just don't change because they've been doing it the same way for years, and they've tried these things, and then somebody comes along and goes, "You can turn iron into gold," and so it's very protective. And when we very first met, and very skeptical, right? It's a very skeptical place,
Absolutely.
for good reason. There's a lot of shysters that get into that industry, and
Oh yeah.
right. And hopefully you've got some good stories for us on that. But it was interesting when we met. That is your personality, right? You do research, you do, I remember we met prior to us ever doing business together. And then, it took you a while, you're doing your vetting and all that kind of stuff. And finally, we started working with you. And again, I kind of think back now, I have such fond memories of working with you and your team where you started your business. And I saw you do an interview with Crystal, where you guys were talking about when things went from mom and pop business to what you've now developed in your company. You want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So, a lot of people start out as entrepreneurs and they have a business, but it's really a lifestyle company. They have a business that's them and maybe them and a partner, them and a spouse, and it keeps them busy and it's a business, but it's not really a business until you get employees and you have to make payroll and you do that. And that's when you really start focus. The business becomes something all of its own. When it's a lifestyle company, it's kind of an extension of yourself. You're like, this is me wearing my regular hat. This is me doing my side gig, my business. But once you start a business, it becomes its own thing. Start really growing and that happened. I had started in 2019, 2018, started hiring a couple of people and kind of building out. And really, it was just like excess. Like I had way too much to do, and I would hire someone to just take what I can't do. And then when they were too busy, I hired somebody else take what they can't keep up with. And we were kind of growing that way, no structure, strategy to it. And so we were doing really well. Business was good. And I realized that, if we ever want to really scale this or have any sort of freedom or anything, we need to do something. So I did a bunch of due diligence. You were Anton J at the time, now built to exit, same principle and everything. And you had some clients that I knew that you were working with. So I went out and talked to them. I flew out to visit some of them. uh, you had a conference in Florida in 2020, and it was great. Had a good time. I went there. I met some of your team, interviewed your team, talked to some of your other clients, and then brought you in. And you basically sat us down the first day and said, you know, it's cute what you've done. Here's how you really here's how you really do it. And so, that was really the transition point from literally that day. We sat down for 3 days and did a deep dive. And from that day on, we really became a real business in terms of, structure and strategy and thinking things through instead of just reacting to being too busy. So,
Yeah. I love that. And that's the journey. We're getting through a little bit of this because I want to talk about where you have evolved into and the current state of the market and where you've advanced to. But I remember, back then when we were working with you, one of the things that you wanted was to get your free time back, right?
yeah,
And I remember after we went through this, and it's not an easy process. I tell people all the time, like
no,
you gotta be ready. Like it's a lot of people, they hire gurus or they buy a program or they do something like that, and there's not really a massive adjustment to your behavior. And it takes a specific business owner who is humble enough to say, "Hey, I need some help," and then diligent enough to actually be able to modify behaviors. That's the hardest part, right? Is
yeah,
breaking old patterns and whatnot. And you and your team did that so well. and you guys were crushing it. You know how we keep score of ascending and getting towards your outcome.
Yeah.
We're committed to that, and we think that you should be committed to it as much as us. And you were, and your scores were just 100%, 100%, 100%. And so you made that advancement. And then I remember you called me one day and you're like, I haven't been into the office. I've started doing these other things and I haven't been out of my shorts in a while. Right.
Yeah.
Because we talk about, we changed, the brand, it's the same company, same team, same strategies that, fix, scale, exit,
Yeah.
sort of team. And we talk a lot about, everybody's like, well, I don't know, we definitely need you, Jason, because at some point in time we're going to exit. To me, the very first time you need to exit is to do exactly what you did. I want you to talk about that a little bit, which is, my business is running, money's coming in, I don't have to, we get to wear shorts, and start these other things. I want you to talk a little bit about that piece of exit, which is getting your free time and freedom back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so key. And it really is. That's one of those key differentiators between a lifestyle company and a business is if you're sitting down, I mean, the simplest way to explain it in financial terms is if you're sitting down to value your business and you remove all of your time and effort from it, if you still have a valuation there and there's still cash flow, then you've got that key piece at least started.
Yeah.
If you remove yourself and it goes to zero or close to zero, then you still need to build systems and processes and everything. And so, everybody's replaceable, and
Yeah.
it's one of those lessons that everybody needs to learn in life at some point. Like, there's people who are really, really good at things, and most of those people are still replaceable. Like the NBA didn't shut down when Michael Jordan retired. It's still
It should
running. The
have. It
people
should
play it.
have.
Yeah, should have, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, it should have. But so realizing that, like, how do I build the systems and processes to remove myself from the business? And it's hard because the first thing you have to do is sit down and write down, like, what are all the things that I'm doing and where do I delegate those things out and how do I create the systems and processes so that everything's repeatable, that I can bring people in, plug them in. Because the worst thing you can do is bring somebody in, give them, all of your information and everything, and train somebody to replace you, and then they leave. So you really have to build the process and system so it's repeatable.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. I mean, that's the real work. But once you've done that and you've taken all that out and you've got all the SOPs and everything down, then you start to enter a period where you're creating something that's saleable. And
Yeah.
then you can create an exit.
Yeah. And you did some, one of the things, again, this is for people that are watching this show, right? They're in that spot where everything's on them. Everything is, they're like, I can't leave. I don't even, and one of the things that you did, which every business owner that actually handles that. That's why we call it's fix, scale, exit. It's not exit, scale, fix. It's fix.
Right.
Fix the stuff that is challenging you, taking up your innovation, taking up
Um,
your, it's stressing you out at night, those kind of things, and fixing that piece first. And that's what we did with you. And then you were able to, create Claim Guard, right? Because and I want everybody watching to think about because most people that own businesses go, if I just had some more time, I could add this other line of income that would help. It's going to be higher profitability. It's going to take less input, but I know I could do that, but I don't have the time because I'm too busy babysitting my business and putting out fires on a day-to-day basis.
yeah,
Right. And then that evolved and Claim Guard, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and take the credit myself. I named it.
you
You
did.
you built it, but I was like, hey, this is a great name. And then on to say it for me. Mineral,
Mineralocity.
mineralocity. There we go.
A lot of people struggle with it, but it's sticky and it works and people remember it, but almost no one can say it, and
Right.
it's just one of those
It
things.
got me. It got me, and I talk for a living. So,
Mineralosity, yeah,
but what you were doing was a lot of businesses that usually the concentration risk lies in the fact that there's one owner, right?
yeah,
And then if you get to that play, or just everything kind of revolves around that person, and then you start to look at revenue lines, and you go, well, 80% of my business is being done with these two companies, right? And since then, not only did you come up with mineralosity and in claim guard and your standard, but what you did was you went into two different realms, right? You went in, you have exploration and you have aggregate, and then you looked at that and you said, okay, well, my customer base, we can improve the quality of that customer base by doing business with higher quality companies, right?
yeah,
And so you did that really, really well, better than that I've seen a lot of people do it, which adds a broader base, right? A lot of people are like, if this pen, their business is like teetering on one leg, and you put
yeah.
those four legs underneath of you, which gave you that certainty and continues to this day in your business. And I've always been really proud of you for doing that.
Yeah, it's key. And you made a really good point early on with when a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, they're really creative, they're problem solvers, they do great work, but they get buried under so much responsibility and so many tasks. Their ability to do all that really quality work is just completely diminished. I mean, it's almost gone. Um, Hormozy told a story the other day that I saw in a reel about they did a study where they took a bunch of seminary students. They were like all going to be priests and different things. These are really kind, caring people who want to give back. And he tells a story of they did this study and had somebody, they were late for a meeting, different levels of late to attend some important meeting. Like they sent a group out that was 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late, and they had somebody who was injured and needed help on the way to this meeting, and they had all these seminary students pass this person, and then they saw who actually stopped to help. And this is the work they should be doing, but as you can imagine, it completely depended on how late they were. The people that were 5 minutes late, they could spare a little time to help. 10 minutes late, not so much. 15 minutes late, they just ignored it completely. And it's not that they're bad people or their willingness to give and be compassionate's related to the amount of time they have, but it's a good example of um, your ability to do your best work is tied to how much time you have and your capacity to really think about it. So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
a good
we
example.
live in a very interesting time where, now we can build digital twins, and it's interesting on the AI side. I identified early on because, first thing we start beating you guys up with was SOPs, right? And
Right.
and it's just, again, from my own experience, that you got to start there if you're ever going to have a duplicatable business, something
Yep.
that is transferable to somebody else who wants to buy it. And when AI first came out and I started messing around with it, I go, oh my God, this is SOPs. If you want AI to work, you have to give it a workflow. What's a
Oh
workflow?
yeah.
It's an SOP, you
Yep.
know? And so I fell in love with it faster than any technology that's come along. Like I was a big, social media. Who's that's stupid, right?
Right.
Big miss on my part,
Right.
and then the internet, I was like, well, how's that really gonna, big miss on my part. Not missing this AI thing because
Right.
I see the practical application specifically for small, mid-sized business owners, for it to be something that can add massive value and keep us viable in the marketplace when we apply those skill sets. So you guys are perfectly set to be able to do that. I want to get into some of the stuff that you see coming in the future and in your industry and whatnot in here in a second. But one of the things that you said in one of your testimonials, and I think on the recommendation on LinkedIn or whatever, was your due diligence and your suggestion to anybody that might be thinking about using built to exit. What would you say to them?
Do it. Do it. I mean, it's you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And even if you know your industry really well, you may not know business. And very few people really know business like Jason and his team.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Okay, well, now that we've gotten out of the commercial for B2X, welcome back to your normally rated programming. Talk a little bit about, because what I find fascinating and what I suggest everybody do, the business that you find yourself in, minerals and aggregate and mining in general, so many people don't realize that's the foundation of what society is really built on, right? That agriculture and mining and I find that really, really fascinating. And I suggest people go find you on LinkedIn and Twitter and wherever you and Crystal are doing your show, to kind of track that. You guys talk a lot about those different angles, and talk to us a little bit about the minerals position, the thing that you're seeing out there, that which I'm really happy, because you're so smart and you and Crystal know so much about this, that I learn stuff all the time. Not just about, you think, oh, you're going to go watch, I'm not going to go watch a show about mining. But what you guys do is give me information to go, I wasn't thinking about that in terms of where I should be investing, right?
Yeah.
Or the downstream flow of what happens if there's an interruption, or if there's a shortage, or if there's, the supply chain and what's happening in different countries and whatnot. Give us some idea of what you see happening in the marketplace and how that is going to affect everybody that's watching the show.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. I've been in the industry coming up on 20 years now and talked to a lot of people in the industry. We have our own podcast, Mine Explorers, with an X and a hyphen, Explorers, because we're X's. That's our interesting twist. But we have a lot of great guests on, people who, been in the industry. I had a guest on this morning. He's been in the industry he's on his 51st year in
Wow.
mining. And we're a really exciting time for the industry. I mean, it's common for one or two commodities to run at a time. Maybe iron ore is on a tear, or lithium, or gold and silver doing well. But right now we're seeing a whole spectrum of the elemental chart just all running at once. So we've got rare earths, critical minerals like tungsten, antimony, fluorspar, the precious metals, of course, gold, silver, and then copper. And I really can't say enough about copper and how important copper is to everything that's going on right now. But it's all going at once. So I think we're at the beginning of a multi-decade commodity boom. We're really right at the start, and that includes everything. I mean, we're going to see, like, oil hasn't even started yet. I mean, there's just been a little bit of noise, but all this impact from Iran and everything, we haven't even seen any price action yet. I mean, it's going to get crazy. And then gold and silver, I mean, they're just starting out. And then some of these critical minerals. And there's this situation we have where there's unprecedented demand for a lot of these, particularly copper, unprecedented demand from data centers, from AI, from technology. We have a lot of infrastructure in the developed world that needs to be replaced. And then at the same time, new mineral discoveries of any significance are all-time lows. We're
Mm.
finding smaller and smaller and lower grade mineral deposits around the world. All the easy to mine, low hanging fruits already been mined. And so it's getting harder and harder to find and discover and mine new mineral deposits. So we have declining supply. I read yesterday that the biggest copper producer in the world, Codelco, is reduced their output forecast for this year by 30%. And meanwhile, we have this huge demand. So it's just a great time for the industry, for anyone in the industry looking to do mineral exploration, looking to do mining, anyone who wants to invest into the industry, um, and any younger people who are entrepreneurs or students who are looking for a career path. There's a lot of AI insulation. There's a lot of potential for disruption in the industry, but it's not taking jobs. It's just enhancing jobs. It's a great lever for more output. One disclaimer quick, because I did mention investing. When we see the industry get frothy like this, there's a lot of bad actors who come out. So definitely due diligence, research, quality teams deliver quality results. So, look into the management, look into the teams, avoid the promoters as much as possible. But yeah, really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on with the current administration, with government incentives. There's a lot going on with China and supply chains and reshoring. It's really an interesting time.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, talk a little bit more about, because I'm seeing this as a trend through all businesses, which is, you're always at seems to be always at a shortage for good quality people, right? And you have in almost every industry, doesn't matter what, plumbing and you just across the board, you have an aging group of folks and less young people that are interested in the critical infrastructure that keeps society going, right?
Yeah.
And so what are the ways that your industry, or you particularly, are innovating in attracting some of that younger talent and attention? Or what do you think
Yeah.
should be being done if nothing is?
Yeah. Um, there's a lot going on. I think there's going to be kind of as a macro theme, there's going to be a lot of retraining happening with AI. There's going to be a shift in jobs. There's a lot of kids graduating college this year that aren't going to have a career in what they think they're going to have a career in due
Yeah.
to what's going on with AI and disruption, everything. And so there's going to be a lot of retraining, but quality talent is difficult. We call it in the industry the gray tsunami. So the gentleman I interviewed this morning, he's on his fourth attempt at retirement. He's keeps getting pulled out, and that's a really increasing theme. So we're extending people's careers, particularly on the more like professional services side. Geologists, engineers, metallurgists, process guys are so needed now, but they may be on their second or third retirement, time pulled back out. So we're extending that, and then the pipeline is really dire. So I'm hearing it's turning around, which is good. And there's a concerted effort right now to reinvigorate mining schools in the West. But one statistic that's just shocking is in 2025, um, the Western United States, or the Western world, the US, Australia, Canada, graduated 400 mining engineers, and China graduated 10,000.
Wow.
So the talent's there, but a lot of the talent's going to come from the Middle East, from China, from Africa. But Western talent, domestic talent, is very scarce.
Wow.
So what's happening is people are getting levered, really highly levered. So, like at our firm, we have about 25 full time employees and a fleet of contractors. We work on 100 different projects at any given time. Whereas in the past, every mine of any significant size would have a whole team that does what we do. And now we're helping multiple mines do that. And so, a lot of leverage, a lot of gray hair, but definitely there's a talent gap. And, the headhunters are strong. Like it's something we deal with all the time is they're hitting our people daily.
Yeah. Well, it's
We gotta have
funny. I mean,
culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
you say 25 people. I remember walking into your office. I got that picture, when we first met, and there was like the whole team was there basically, and it was 5 people. So I love it. Well, and you're in a good spot, and I can't recommend what you guys do and how you do business and who you are as human beings. I can't recommend you more for anybody that needs help in doing what you do. There's nobody better. So, um,
I
so there,
appreciate that. Yeah,
there's
I think what one thing to add on the recruitment side and retaining, attracting good talent, culture and values, and finding people that align with your culture and values. And it's a two-way thing. So, you taught me the triangle, right? We got can do, will do, team fit. I draw it on the board every time I do an interview. And we have a second interview process now where my team, the technical team, they interview somebody and they assess that can do, will do. And Crystal and I personally interview everyone in the company, and we don't care about any of that. We're literally just assessing their team fit and their culture. So there's that side of it. But the other side is if you build a good culture, you'll attract the right people. Even if you pay less, but they're in love with your culture and what you're doing and your vision, they'll come join you. So that's a really key piece too.
Yeah, something that people overlook. And it's interesting in our industry, we deal with a lot of private equity firms because we either are filling their, they've got a pipeline. They're like, hey, we need dental office or whatever, so, and we're on the sell side, advocacy side, so we go out and find dental offices for them, right? And then on the acquisition side or on the sales side, we prep them up. We've got a lot of good relationships in that space. And one of the things that I'm seeing, you have the gray tsunami, right? I see the antithesis of the flow that's going, because everybody's, you can't, you can throw a rock and find somebody that has either been approached by or talked to or is in the process of talking to a private equity firm in
Yeah.
terms of acquisitions, and the deals are getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And the people that are selling are getting increasingly bad deals because they don't know how to prep. That's where Built to Exit came from. It's like, we got to there's got to be some defense against the dark arts up here to say, hey,
Yeah.
here's exactly how you put your business together. Culture, as you know, was one of the first things we started talking to you about, right?
Yeah.
Because that's an attractor that you can't put a dollar amount on. Everybody that I talk to goes, we're having a hard time attracting new people. Well, it's because your culture sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how do you build a culture? There's a very specific way you do it, as you know. But on the acquisition side, people are paying more, there's in some terms less and sometimes more, but they're paying for all of these businesses, and they then try to turn them into these corporate machines because they don't
Yeah.
understand culture. And so
Yeah.
those business deals fall apart, right? They fall apart because the culture then goes away from it. It's a value piece. It's something that it's a leg that your company stands on. So I see a whole bunch of businesses that are coming back into the marketplace or completely shutting their doors because private equity hasn't figured out that culture is a major driver in the valuation and its continued success, which is what a private equity firm does. They invest in small and mid-sized business owners, which is super smart because connection to the local markets, right? Local taxes, the good culture, solid 15, 20-year experience. Like, wise to invest in that space, not wise to screw with why they've been successful,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
it's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because I see a whole bunch of businesses that are unwinding out of their PE deals because and then they hand them back a business and say, well, we're not going to pay you the rest of your payout, but we screwed up your business really bad. Here you go. Here you go. You
Yeah.
can have it back.
Yeah. 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 And a lot of that, like, yeah, it's timeline too. The
Yeah,
PE model is culture is a long-term thing. It takes a long time to cultivate and it leads to long-term success. And if you're only looking in a really narrow window, it just all falls apart.
it does. 100%. 100%. And what a great interview. I was so excited just to catch up with you.
Yeah.
You guys became good friends, and I don't think we see each other enough. And that's one of the reasons I was excited just to catch up with you.
Yeah, no, I'll have to get together. I was out in Gatlinburg the other day, not quite to Charleston, but
Yeah.
I was in the
Well,
south.
close enough.
In the south, yeah.
Yeah, close enough. We're doing a 2-day event called Dare to Exit, daretoexit.com. There's my promo,
Yeah.
where we do 2 days about, talking about, how to prep your company up for sale and stuff. November 8th and 9th in Atlanta. So
Cool.
would love to
Cool.
see you
Yeah, I'll put
guys.
that up. Yeah.
Yeah, would love to have you guys out.
Yeah, I'd
And
love to do that. I went to that Unstoppable event in 2020 and it was fantastic. It was
yeah, we
really
had
good.
the last event. I always say this before the zombie apocalypse hit.
Yeah. It was right on the cusp of it. I really right on the cusp. It was interesting. I told Crystal the other day that um I haven't been to an event with that kind of energy in a while. I miss that.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna. It's again. It's focused around business, and as was Unstoppable, but it's gonna be same energy, same group of people. So, would love to have you out. What would you say? Let's say you're talking to a business owner, and you're gonna be this is gonna be the last piece of advice that you give, and it's got to be the most important to that business owner who you're talking to. What piece of advice would you give them?
Ooh, oh, that's a hard one. I've got several different ideas. Um, Most important, just believe in yourself. If I had to pick one, and then consistency compounds, probably be a one. Like we talked about with the SOPs and all that. It's really hard, long, boring work. There's so much of it to do. I mean, you're writing a novel essentially about your business,
Yep.
and a lot of the time, like you can delegate some of it, but if you're wearing all the hats, it's your novel to write, and you're gonna have to do it. So just believing in yourself, like I'm worth investing in, taking the time, building the systems and processes, upgrading my own knowledge and ability, and then just consistency. Do a little bit every day, keep working at it, and it compounds over time.
Yeah, well, you're somebody who shines in all of those areas. It's very good advice, and proud of everything that you've done. Really enjoy our friendship over the years, and watching what you've done to expand and to get better and to innovate and all that stuff. Again, I highly suggest you go look him up on LinkedIn and all the places so that you can see his conversations. Very interesting. If you're an investor in different things or looking down the road, it's one of those early indicator shows that in a weird way can give you a view into what's going to be happening in the future. So, and that's always very, very valuable.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, it's great getting to catch up with you. And yeah, like you said early on, mining's one of those bedrock industries. It's the building blocks of everything. So we see a lot of things first that aren't coming down the road. Suddenly some commodity spiking, then we know there's use for it somewhere, and it's going to be something much bigger in the future. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting, and I just love it. I've got a passion for it. Love talking about it. So
My
it's
favorite part is when because again, one of the things that I love about you is you fell in love with like spelunking, right? Like the
yeah,
exploration side of it, and some of
yeah,
the stories that you tell, and like those are like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of going underground. Like you know me. I'm a very adventurous guy.
yeah,
But, I like flying above the ground or,
yeah.
crashing through doors with a bulletproof vest on, and, like, that's my jam. Going underground, I like to watch you do
Yeah, yeah.
it.
No, I don't know how I got in, like, really how it got under my skin, but I just love doing it, and, yeah, I'm actually rappelling into a 400-foot mine on Monday and sampling it for a client. So, even though we've grown and have a team and everything, those fun, really dangerous jobs I still do personally.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. It's kinda why Built to Exit still exists, I love business, I love helping business owners and, um, you know, certainly don't need to do it, but I absolutely love it, and I hope I get to do it for the rest of my life, so we have that in common.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't wait for
Yeah,
people to be able to watch this episode. And I'll shoot you a text, about daretoexit.com is the website. But I would love to see you guys come out and, see how it's all evolved and get back around the family. And I view everybody as family, as you know, because
yeah, yeah,
owning,
absolutely. No, it'd be
owning the
great.
business.
I'll put it on my calendar for sure.
Cool, cool. All right, well, give my love and a hello to everybody on the team. I really appreciate you coming and spending time with us today, brother.
Thank you, appreciate it, yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, that's our show. Great conversation. There's so many nuggets that if you apply that conversation at multiple points in your own inflection points, because this is a business owner who started out, something he loved to do. He turned that hobby into something that paid his bills, and then has built it into something that has gotten him back his time. and his freedom, it's a great journey. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned. And I've said it 4 times in the show, but please go follow them. Their conversations are fascinating, and you're going to learn a lot. So thanks again for being with us. Again, to all the new viewers, I know you're getting these text messages from people that are like, you got to watch this show and whatnot. Thank you for coming. We love doing this. We love adding value to our community. We love the small and mid-sized business owner community. We're working very hard to put together protections on the political side, and making sure that everybody can navigate the guru space and make sure you're getting good advice for your businesses. Because I know everybody that we deal with, Stuart, who was just on, this is how we feed our family. This is the majority of our hopes and dreams for the future is in our business. And so we want you to be armed with those right decisions, the right people to be exposed to, the right actions to take for you and your business. In this AI space, there's always something in the business world that is upsetting the norms, which is great. Because that means that you can always innovate and be ready to, to be ahead of the market, to be able to protect you and your family. So from everybody at Built to Exit, I'm Jason Sisneros. We'll see you on the next episode.